Well, troops, welcome to today's video. My name is Ryan, I'm a former commando, and we're going to do an update on Ukraine. It is Thursday, 29th of December, and yeah, quite a bit of things happening I want to share with you today. Before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and thank you for being here, troops. If you want to support even more, Patreon link is in the description. Other than that, I will see you in the comments. Starting with a map study, there has been clarification on the situation in 5 main areas. We're going to be taking a look at that today, guys. Starting with Spain. Again, apologies for pronunciation and stuff. So let's have a look. Today, 28th. This obviously gets updated, sporadically. It's normally a day or two behind. But if we zoom out a little bit, zoom back a day or two, we can see that the enemies advanced towards Spain. It was obviously not as much as we thought it was until today. It has been clarified they've obviously pushed on through a little bit further, taken on that front line a little bit more. There's enemy troops a little bit further forward, and if we push through today, we can see that they've closed the gap in the northern part of that little settlement there. So little bits of clarifications on that front line, but in these areas, little bits of land do make a big difference. If you can see where they're closing in on, they've pretty much got within fighting distance of this little area here. Don't know what it is, whether it's a settlement or what, a bit of a water feature going through there, so that'll be significant in terms of tactical advantage and stuff. But yeah, they're pushing through there. Second place is Bilorivka. Now this is a larger area that we're talking about here, troops. So if we zoom out a couple of days, we can see that, yeah, minor adjustments there. We can see that if we push through today, where are we actually looking at here? So the main settlement of Bilorivka is not yet fully encompassed by Russia. We can see that there was minor adjustments to the northwest side. And yeah, not really too much of a takeover just yet. Obviously, the enemy is pushing on through just a little bit. Different clarifications to this, but there's nothing much going on there. Quite a watery area, this, it seems. So this time of year, going to be pretty hideous. Next, let's look at Bakhmut. Obviously, that's been in the news of recent. We knew that the Russians were taking the southern area, the southern tip of Bakhmut. In there, obviously trying to take them from a different angle, pardon the pun. But if we look at Bakhmut itself, again, we've spoken about this, but it's was a densely populated area. You've got loads of houses and stuff here. You've got loads of infrastructure, loads of buildings, loads of areas where you can defend from, loads of areas where you can attack from. It's a big place. In terms of, in comparison to some of the areas, the little settlements that we've been seeing the Russians taking over. So they've had to think about how they're going to take this area differently. Russia is tackling it slightly differently. They're putting a lot of resources there. Ukraine is putting a lot of resources there. So the fighting has been fierce. It's been described many times as a meat grinder. Let's look at where these adjustments have came from. So the adjustments have came more north, actually. I was surprised with that. So we've seen a lot of traction in this area, southern area, southeasterly area of Bakhmut. It looks as if they're trying to take on that water feature and get to the other side of it. They haven't made too much progress in the past few days, although their troops looks to be pushing forward. If we look at this arrow here, that signifies that they've got probably reinforcements within this area. But the major movement has came in the northern area, which is something that I didn't see happening, to be honest with you. Yeah, slight adjustments in the Bakhmut area in the northeastern area, which is taking me by surprise, to be fair. I didn't expect that happening. I'm trying to think why the reasoning would be is probably the same reasons as the south. They now obviously control a little bit more of this road feature here. If that is a road feature or is it a railway line, yeah, it's a main feature nonetheless, and they're trying to take it from a different angle. I think what the Russians are going to try and do is completely encircle this region. So you've got this whole area here. Bakhmut, main area there. Russia, what does it look like? Well, it looks like they're pushing that way. They haven't pushed too much further southwestward in the past few days, but that is what I think they're looking to do, to hopefully encircle the whole area, troops, all right? Something like that. But they can only do that if they take the land north. And I say only do that, it's going to make it more possible. That's what it seems as if they want to do, control this land, and then possibly you're going to see something that looks like this. moving in from the south, and then pushing on through. It's going to be really hard to take this area anyway, so maybe they want to take it from multiple angles. It's such a big area, guys. This is going to be ongoing for the next few days, weeks, potentially months if we don't see anything major in terms of changing their stance on this. But that's Bakhmut. What was the other area? Optin, I think it is pronounced. It's not working anymore. So let's go to Marinka. I don't know where this area is. I don't know if we spoke about this before. Yeah, so northern point of Marinka. Whereabouts is this again? Right, so it's on that major front line, Donetsk. Okay, so yeah, this is quite a large area as well. Similar in stature to Bakhmut, actually. Looks like quite a built-up area. And it seems like they've made a bit more traction in the northern point. The problem with this is Russia seems to control most of Marinka. So if you look eastward, yeah, there's quite a lot of area that they control. Loads of fields and stuff to the west and north. So by them taking that land, yeah, Russia is at a bit of an advantage there because they hold the infrastructure in this area. It's easier to defend from a building than it is from the fields because you've also got to build trenches and stuff like that. So do I see little bits of movement like that is something that signifies that there could be a lot more traction within that area if Russia so wants to take it. So hopefully we don't see too much more movement in that direction. Troops. Okay, talking about the certain advances that Russia has made in Bakhmut, I wanted to bring you to the Institute Study of War. Several indicators support the assessment that Russia forces around Bakhmut have culminated. Senior Ukrainian officials are visiting frontline positions in Bakhmut. Unimpeded, Ukraine's Military Intelligence Directorate, GUR, Chief Krylo Budanov visited Bakhmut between 27th to 28th, so yesterday, the day before, and was geolocated to within at least 600 meters of the previously recorded Russian forwarded line of troops. Budanov's visit supports previous Ukrainian social media reports that Ukrainian forces conducted a tactical counterattack that repelled Russian forces from the outskirts of Bakhmut on December 21st. Ukrainian President Zelensky visited Bakhmut on December 20th. So despite how dangerous this area is, you are getting key figures going to the front lines there. Pretty close. Granted, 600 meters in this scenario, it makes a very big difference. But granted, in respect where due, these guys are getting out there supporting their troops on the ground. It seems, and it's indicated that over the past week or so, despite the movement that we've seen on Russia's behalf, that there is positive outcomes for Ukraine as well, which is really, really important. Let's not forget, when you hold a city such as Bakhmut, such a densely populated area, if you get your strategy right, if you put the correct amount of manpower in these areas with the right kit and equipment, supported by intelligence, supported by the correct artillery from a distance, HIMARS and all of this, and it's coordinated effectively. If you use that with all of your intelligence that's incoming, if there is intelligence incoming, it's going to be really hard to take that city. Be rest assured, you need a lot of specialized individuals with a lot of grit and determination, a lot of guile to be able to listen to good orders as well, which Russia many times doesn't actually get to take a city like Bakhmut. It's not going to be easy. It's not just a matter of, yeah, let's just take this. Okay, we're up against Russia, who, and this is the thing, Bakhmut, I don't think is going to be taken quite easily, all right? Despite these rumors you see on news and stuff, yes, it's hideous, the fighting over there is rough, it's horrendous for both sides, but it's going to be hard for Russia to take Ukraine in Bakhmut. That's just my personal opinion on the matter, troops. Now, recent combat footage supports our Institute Study of War's previous assessment that Russian forces are operating in squad-sized assault groups due to combat losses. Let's think about this then, troops. Combat-sized groups, squad-size groups. So, squad in Royal Marine terms, okay, squad is, it can obviously be a section. It's probably going to be a fire team, so we're looking at 3 or 4 people. With the way Russia's been going, that could be 2 or 3 people, you know. It could be less. So let's just use the comparison that they're using, the same as what we would deem a squad, 4 to 8 people. Not really massive, but, you know, it's something that would happen anyway if you had the numbers and you weren't up against fierce opposition. You know, one guy against a section, a squad is something that we would handle in the Royal Marines in NATO standard, okay? But when we're talking about Russia, they're probably getting up against 10, 20, 30 people. In Russia, it'll just go, yeah, crack on. So that's why they're seeing more heavy losses. But the fact that they have had heavy losses means that they have to operate with these small group size squads, okay, which is a bad thing. So you're not going to take Bakhmut with that type of strategy. Trust me, you're not going to be able to do that with troop or company sized manpower. You're going to have coordinated, large scale, maneuverable troops supported by tanks and artillery, mortar fire and intelligence. And this is going to have to be a massively planned operation to take Bakhmut. From what I'm seeing in Telegram groups and footage and stuff, they're just not operating in that way. So all that's happening is Russia tries to take over a small bit of land with a squad. They get absolutely hammered. Ukraine takes 1 or 2 casualties in the process because that's war. And, you know, stalemate. You're not really taking over land. And this is ongoing and ongoing. That's what we're seeing right now. Combat footage posted on December 26th shows Ukrainian fire defeating squad-sized groups of 5 to 10 unsupported Russian infantry attempting a disorderly assault on these areas. This footage, while not from Bakhmut, is consistent with the senior Ukrainian officials' report that Russian forces in the Bakhmut area are no longer operating as company and battalion tactical groups, but are instead operating in smaller groups of 10 to 15 service members, squad size, as of December 27th. So there's a time and a place to operate like that, troops, don't get me wrong. But Bakhmut and the other areas in Luhansk and stuff doesn't seem to be the type of area that you would want to operate in squad size groups if you had a company size, all right? Because companies can split down into 3 squads and then you can push on through. You know, you've got 2 assaulting and 1 in support. You've got 1 assaulting, you've got 1 in support, you've got 1 in reserve, you've got 1 on the flank. You can do different things in a company size, all right? So this is the problem. They're not using their resources correctly because they can't. They haven't got them. So, yeah. Do I see traction on Ukraine's behalf? Well, the article not only says it, but the method in which Russia is trying to fight in Bakhmut obviously stipulates that they can't go on like this for much longer, receiving heavy losses or anything like that. Going forward, what do I see? I see Ukraine doing the sensible thing, defending their positions, not really pushing the boundaries yet. Wait until Russia's infantry sizes have really dwindled to a ridiculous amount, and then just push on through. They won't even have to assault positions; they'll just be taking over land because there won't be anyone there to literally defend it. So I think Ukraine is playing a game of chess at this moment in time and is winning. Okay, defending is the right strategy in Bakhmut at this moment in time. Now, Russian airborne forces are reportedly augmenting Wagner Group operations around Bakhmut. A Russian source reported that Wagner and VDV elements conducted joint operations in Bakhmut on December 27th. The report, if true, marks an inflection given that the Wagner Group has been conducting information operations to assert that the Wagner Group forces exclusively are operating in Bakhmut. The conventional Russian military support and Wagner Group elements in Bakhmut after Wagner took efforts to emphasize its exclusively is responsible for the Bakhmut sector would be consistent with indicators for the Wagner Group forces culmination. ISW has previously assessed that Wagner Group forces are serving a chiefly attritional role around Bakhmut and have therefore likely become degraded to a near debilitating extent and need reinforcements from more conventional Russian elements. Wow. So they're struggling. Conventional fighting forces, private military contractors, their numbers are getting decimated every single day. And it's getting to the point where they're augmenting their forces together, conducting joint operations. But, you know, to what success? Well, still receiving high rates of attrition amongst the forces. And it's going to continue, guys. So one thing's for sure, and I honestly believe this, the time is numbered in Ukraine. The time is numbered in Ukraine. And they can't continue to do what they're continuing to do. Does that make sense? There's not longevity in that. So just a matter of time, troops, okay? And we're going to see massive takeover from Ukraine pushing into these areas that were once claimed by Russia for many, many months. I think what's going to happen is these areas are going to be retaken back without a fight or without as much of a fight because they just won't have the numbers to defend, okay? That's what I see happening, all right? A little bit of a stalemate, a little bit of a Afghan situation, I think. What happened in Afghan with Russia when the ground-to-air missiles and stuff became available to the Mujahideen, I think this is going to be something similar what we're going to see, although not with the same tactics, but in terms of Russia's capability just stopping and dwindling and then retreating. That's what I think is going to happen, but I could be wrong, guys. I'm just an opinionated person putting videos out. What do you guys reckon? Let me know in the comments. Hey, troops, that's it for the day. If you did like this video, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to become a person who supports the channel to grow, please consider joining the Patreon. All right, ad-free, uncensored content delivered to you every single week. It's where it's all happening. We've got good, positive feedback from those guys. So if you want to do that, please, please, please hit that join button on the Patreon link below. I really do need the support. Other than that, troops, wherever you are, stay safe. And yeah, thanks for watching, troops. Peace.